Hi, and thanks for logging on to the Daily DVAR. And here's a brand new halacha for you, and it's for Friday the 10th day of January. Here we go. Today's halacha is a continuation, part 2, of making instant coffee on Shabbos. We already told you that there's a rule called ein bishul achar bishul, which means that after something is cooked, it cannot become a problem on Shabbos of saying, uh-oh, I'm cooking that, because it's already a cooked item. You can't be guilty of cooking something after it's already cooked. Now the question is if that applies to coffee, instant coffee. Because if it did on Shabbos, then whenever you're making instant coffee on Shabbos, you could say, if the ground coffee that you have in your instant coffee container is considered already cooked, then who cares if I pour hot water directly from the urn on it? It's already been cooked. So we already told you yesterday that according to some opinions, coffee is considered cooked, but according to some, the process is always changing and it's not considered cooked. And here today is an additional problem, and that is that when we say ein bishul achar bishul, you can't be guilty of cooking something after it's already been cooked, that does not apply to liquids. In other words, if I have a cup of water, hot water, it was already cooked up to 212 degrees, and then it cooled off, you can't say ein bishul achar bishul on the cup of water, and I can't be guilty of warming up the cup of water because it went totally cold. And of course you're rewarming it, and of course that's called cooking. Well, the Mishnah Berurah says that this applies to sugar, even though sugar is a crystalline kind of solid. But when you put sugar into a cup of water, it disintegrates. I don't know if that's the right word, but you know what I mean. It disappears into the water. And now that it disappears and becomes dissolved, I guess is the appropriate word, totally dissolved into the water, it's considered like a liquid. And since it now has the status of a liquid, so the rules of ein bishul achar bishul, which means I can't be called guilty of cooking it because it's already cooked, doesn't apply because you're dealing with a liquid. And when liquids cool off and you reheat them, you're guilty of cooking. Well, Rabbi Neustadt says that it's quite easy to assume that the same thing would apply to instant coffee. If when sugar hits a cup of hot water, it's considered like it's recooking and you're guilty of cooking, then certainly it should apply to instant coffee, which just about always is in liquid form. I mean, that's the only way that you ingest instant coffee is in liquid form. So bishul achar bishul, that you're guilty of cooking after cooking, could apply to instant coffee. Therefore, we're going to be telling you that you need to do a couple of interesting procedures to make your coffee in the proper way. And you cannot pour directly from the hot urn onto the crystals of instant coffee. To be continued, and log on after Shabbos. Oh, I know. If you're making coffee this Shabbos, well, you better ask someone because we're not finished. You can't. Let's say for this Shabbos, you definitely know that you can't pour from the urn right onto the coffee crystals. And more to follow Matzah Shabbos. Stay tuned, and we'll give you more on Saturday night into Sunday. Thanks for logging on. Log on again after Shabbos for more. Bye-bye.